talk through my second trimester. All the things that happened, the good, the bad, the ugly. Second trimester is typically whenever they say to expect your energy to come back. You feel like a new person, the nesting kicks in, you're doing all of these things to prepare for baby. And I experienced some of that, but I also experienced some things that hindered that as well. If you've not yet watched my first trimester recap, you might want to do that first. I'll link it down below so that it's easy to get to. My second trimester started out feeling very much like my first trimester. Lots of nausea, didn't really go away for the first several weeks of my second trimester. Eventually, it did go away and I felt a lot better. I mentioned in my first trimester video that I ended my first trimester with bleeding, and that is how I entered my second trimester, with bleeding. And so that was obviously not super fun. That was something that continued to be a pattern through the beginning of my, probably the first half of my second trimester. Every time it happened, I checked in with my midwife. We checked on the baby. Baby was fine. I'm fine. It's just something that happens sometimes in pregnancy. There hasn't been a great explanation for it, so maybe we'll find out at some point, maybe we won't. But that happened through the first part of my second trimester, and while that wasn't fun, the baby is okay and I am okay, so we are trucking along as normal. In the second trimester, I definitely started to feel the baby move. In my first pregnancy, I definitely felt the baby move way sooner than I did in this pregnancy. My placenta is right in the front. I have an anterior placenta, so that kind of blocked me from being able to feel much movement. This pregnancy, I really didn't start to feel the baby move a ton until closer to week 18. So around week 18 is whenever I was able to really differentiate between what was like a gurgle and what was a baby kick. To this day, I don't feel anything right here, like right in the front. I can feel the baby move all around, but not in the front. So the baby really had to be in a very specific position in order for me to feel any movement. So I think that definitely is why it took a little bit longer for me to feel the baby move. I really started feeling the baby move only down in like the bottom right hand side of my tummy, and that's where I felt it first. That's where Oliver was able to feel the baby, and that's where I saw the kicks first. I always love feeling the baby kick. It's the most magical thing. Of course, in my third trimester, it's a little bit more uncomfortable. As far as second trimester cravings, I craved chocolate, really. I craved, let's see, what did I eat a lot of? Oh, I ate a lot of Hershey's chocolate bars. That was a huge craving of mine, and I'm not really a chocolate person outside of pregnancy, but in pregnancy, I guess I just really like chocolate. Eventually it switched to ice cream, not just any ice cream, salted caramel ice cream. It had to be that kind, and I ate a lot of that as well until one day the craving just went away, and I really went ham on some chips and cheese until the moment that I just couldn't stomach it anymore, and then that craving was gone. It's been gone ever since. I definitely felt an increase in appetite in my second trimester, which was awesome. I definitely started experiencing some weight gain. I gained back all of the weight that I had lost in my first trimester from having such severe HG. So that was super encouraging as a mama to see me get back to my original weight and then to start gaining on top of that, just knowing that the baby and my body is getting everything that we both need. Second trimester is definitely whenever I started to notice my body changing, and it has been a bigger bump this pregnancy than I had in my first pregnancy. I have not been good in either pregnancy about taking progression, like bump progression pictures, but any that I have found for my first trimester, I've compared, or for my first pregnancy, I'm sorry, I've compared to this pregnancy, and this pregnancy I I'm definitely like weeks ahead size-wise than I was in my first pregnancy. In pregnancy, it's obvious a woman's body changes a lot. A lot of things grow and change size and shape, and it's weird and it's beautiful all at the same time. I really struggled in my first pregnancy with body image, watching everything change. The stretch marks came, the cellulite came, all of the things that are so normal and good with pregnancy, but it was still hard to watch those things happen. My body's already been through those changes. So I think on my heart, it's been a little bit easier. Just having been there before, there's not any crazy changes to my body that I was not prepared for or that were not already there at one time or another. It definitely has not been as difficult to watch my body change this pregnancy. I feel like I've been able to enjoy and appreciate the changes in my body a little bit more this pregnancy and just really embrace the miracle that pregnancy is. While the nausea went away, I had a few weeks where I really felt pretty decent, and then little things started happening that didn't make sense to me. I was feeling a little bit more dizzy and just like all these different symptoms that would point to dehydration, and so we increased my electrolytes. We were doing all of the things. I was taking my prenatals. We were just keeping a close eye on like any new symptoms that were to come up, and for a few weeks just things kept happening. Increasingly dizzy, just nauseous again. My eyesight was fading. I was getting like complete double crossed vision. Obviously, that's concerning. It can be normal for your eyesight to change a little bit through pregnancy, but this was so drastic that it definitely caused concern for me, for Oliver, for my doula, for my midwives. So we all put our heads together and we were trying to figure out what on earth was going on. I was having like all the symptoms that someone who is anemic would have, but my iron levels were perfectly fine until one day Oliver was working out of town. I was in the kitchen with Lucy, and I got so dizzy and weak and just completely blacked out, went down to the floor. And from that moment, I didn't feel like I was able to regain control and bounce back. I was feeling like my body was like shutting down in a way, and I was concerned for me, but I was really concerned about the baby. My doula came, picked me up, took me to my midwife, and we checked blood pressure and blood sugar and all of the things, and thankfully I had an appointment scheduled for like 2 days later. So I went home essentially on bed rest, and when I went in for my appointment, we did a full blood panel. Everything that had been checked in the beginning, we checked all over again. And like the next day we got the results in. Everything looked perfectly fine except for my ferritin levels. I had no idea what ferritin was. I since have become more educated on it. It is essentially the protein that helps store the iron in your body. So I had plenty of iron, but I did not have the ferritin to make that iron usable in my body. So yes, my iron levels were fine, but my body didn't know that because my body wasn't able to use it. So they put me on an intense iron ferritin level treatment plan that we have continued to do. Whenever you're pregnant, the stores in your body are shared between you and the baby. So as the baby grows, the baby takes more from your body. So as I've been doing this protocol, that maybe if I wasn't pregnant, it would raise my levels a lot faster. But since I am pregnant, it's taking a little bit longer to raise my levels. I was down really for several weeks. It has taken quite some time to recover from that. It really knocked me down. And Honestly though, I'm very thankful for the information because it explains so many things that went wrong in my pregnancy with Lucy, things that we just never had an answer for. Whenever something in pregnancy is not going the way that it really should, it's nice to have an answer because it gives some validation, number one, which is always nice to have. Definitely gives validation. And then having answers gives you a starting point for treating the problem. Before we had this answer, I was struggling so much and I was so fatigued and I just was not a functioning human being, and Oliver and I were really questioning, maybe this should be our last child. If this is how pregnancy is on my body, maybe we should just be done because there's no answers out there. But having that answer makes us feel a little bit more empowered through pregnancy and through family planning, that maybe this doesn't need to be our last child. Maybe we can continue to grow our family until our hearts feel like we can hold no more children, which is the desire that both of us have. We're very thankful for the answer of the ferritin issue. My levels have been slowly rising, and so between the supplement, the ferritin supplement that I'm on, and beef liver, we're really hoping to get my levels back into the normal range here pretty soon. So that really was and has been the most challenging part of my second trimester. I don't feel like I really had the whole second trimester feeling good, lots of energy situation. I had that for maybe a couple weeks and then things went downhill. We got answers. It's taken a while to get me back up to a functioning level. And so with my eyesight being bad, Lucy and I have been stuck at home unless Oliver is here to drive us, because you can't really drive when you can't see very well. So I have noticed improvement in my eyesight as my ferritin levels rise, and I am so thankful for that. I hope to feel more confident here soon to drive and have a little bit more freedom, but it just hasn't felt safe, you know? So you gotta do what is safe for you and your family, and driving was not a safe thing for me to do. One thing that has been so incredibly different between this second trimester and my second trimester with Lucy is that in my second trimester with Lucy, I could not sleep without my pregnancy pillow. I needed it. I was so uncomfortable without it. This pregnancy, I don't even want to look at it. I tried sleeping with it. It was awful. I don't know what the difference is. I do know that I am carrying a lot lower in this pregnancy than I did with Lucy, but I don't know that that would affect my appreciation for a pregnancy pillow. I just don't want it. So there's that. I have been way more active this pregnancy than my first, even with the roller coaster of ferritin levels and nausea and just craziness like that. I have been way more active. We've been enjoying going on walks. So that's been really nice to experience having a pregnancy where I'm not a couch potato the entire time. I'm not super active every single day, but as often as I can, we are outside, we're taking walks, I'm stretching, and I'm actually utilizing my yoga ball. So that's been a really nice change of pace. Something that popped up in second trimester, still dealing with it, but I'll cover that in my third trimester recap. My SI joints have just been absolutely destroying me. Not being able to move very easily. It's hard to get in and out of bed. It's pretty painful. I think I want to get a belly band of some sort to try to lift some of the weight and see if maybe that helps with the SI joints. I think if I had been able to see a chiropractor more often in my second trimester, my SI joints probably wouldn't be as much of an issue as it is right now. I saw a chiropractor a lot in my pregnancy with Lucy, but now Lucy is here, and taking a toddler to a chiropractor's office, a teething toddler, no less, to a chiropractor's office is it's just a little much. Fitting the chiropractor into the schedule has been essentially non-existent. But We are prioritizing it very much for third trimester. It's hard to fit it in, but we're doing our best, and hopefully it will help with the SI joints and get everything loosened up and get baby in a great position for birth. In second trimester, I definitely have had more like momentary swelling than I had in my first pregnancy. I really think it has something to do with how warm it can be here, because I am definitely more swollen on warmer days. A lot of times I notice my swelling more towards the end of the day. Like when I'm cleaning up from dinner, I look down, I'm like, oh, that's why my feet hurt. I don't even have ankles right now. I do think that that is all that there really is to say about my second trimester. Second trimester and then the beginning of this third trimester has been super extra fun because I'm getting excited about birth and developing a birth plan, and I'm so excited because this time we're planning to have a birth at the birth center with no medical intervention, Lord willing. Definitely entering the weeks that I didn't realize would give me so much anxiety, but definitely having anxiety going into these next couple weeks, because these are the weeks where things changed with Lucy and gave me a birth that was not pleasant. So I am very excited for birthing at the birth center and just being able to experience the gift that is childbirth. And I'm preparing my heart and my body and my mind as much as I possibly can for that. Our heart's desire is that we would be able to birth this baby at the birth center and then come home shortly after, so that Lucy can meet the baby and we can all be together as a family. But second trimester and the beginning of this third trimester have been so fun because we're getting to talk through the birth plan, and I get to be excited with my midwives and hear their stories, their encouraging stories of having really successful births with moms who had a lot of necessary medical intervention in their first pregnancy. So that's been really encouraging, just being aware that every pregnancy is different. This pregnancy has the potential to be everything that I have hoped for and dreamed for, and so we're walking into these next few weeks in a lot of prayer that things would just go smoothly and that I would be able to birth this baby in the way that my heart truly desires to. That is the recap of my second trimester, and I can't believe that my next trimester recap video will be after the baby is here. That's crazy to me. But in the meantime, we'll go through newborn favorites, newborn must-haves, lots of different newborn pregnancy, new mom videos, and I'm really excited. I have a lot planned. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you around for all the other exciting videos. Bye!